13th. The time is now 9:40. I call to order the regular meeting of the Birmingham City Council. This morning, our invocation will be led by Reverend Greg Stanley, and our Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Councilor Brian Gunn. If you're willing and able, please stand and join us.
Good morning. We bow heads and humble hearts. Precious and eternal Father, Lord, we first tell you thank you. Thank you for another day. Thank you for new mercies and grace. And God, today we ask that you smile upon this conclave, this meeting on today. That, Lord, you touch every governmental official, our mayor, our city council. Lord, now give them wisdom and brevity to do the business of this city. And Lord, now smile upon the city of Birmingham. Continue to show your grace upon our lives, and we will continue to give you glory and honor. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Good morning, Mr. Clerk. You call the roll.
Councilmember Gunn. Good morning. Good morning, sir. Councilmember O'Quinn. Good morning. Good morning. Councilmember Smith.
Good morning.
Good morning. Councilmember Smitherman. Good morning. Good morning. Councilmember Vassar. Good morning. Councilmember Williams. Councilmember Woods. Good morning. Council President Pro Tem Tate. Good morning. Good morning. Council President Alexander.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Councilors, I'm asking for a motion and a second for approval of minutes from the previous meetings of October 7th, October 14th, October 21st, and October 28th, 2025.
All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
Thank you. Councilors, at this time, the minutes are not ready from the meetings of November 4th, 2025 through January 6th, 2025. At this time, we'll entertain communications from the mayor.
Madam President, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning to the entire council. It's good to see everyone this morning. Madam President, I have one thing on my report, and that is, it is related to the divine, devastating, amazing divas of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. At this time, I would like to ask the chapter presidents and all these other lovely ladies as they file in to join me here at the podium. At the same, as they come in, I would like to ask Councilor Crystal Smitherman to also join me at the podium. So, Madam President and Council, it turns out on January 13th, 1913, 113 years ago, I like that. Ladies, y'all like that? Yes. They're still coming in, so I could just say it again. Still coming in. Paint City Hall red today. We're patient. Still coming in. I won't tell the fire marshal if he won't. Yeah, we'll keep it a secret. Yeah, I think you set a record as well. All right, Madam President and Council, I'm going to try this again. On January 13th, 1913, 113 years ago, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated was founded by 22, that's right, 22 collegiate women at Howard University to promote academic excellence and provide assistance to those in need. Today, DST is made up of a powerful network, a very powerful network of more than 350,000 women across the globe, with more than 1,000 collegiate and alumni chapters spanning the world, connected by a shared purpose and an unbreakable bond. And so on this day, their Founders Day, the city of Birmingham would like to honor these amazing women with a proclamation that I will read in part. And it states, whereas Delta women understand that real change requires collaboration. Through impactful partnerships with corporate leaders and charitable organizations, they confront disparities in education, health, and economics, tackling the issues that matter most to the communities they serve. And whereas members of the Birmingham Alumni Chapter, the Jefferson County Alumni Chapter, and the Ada Nu Chapter of Miles College, and the Iota Lambda Chapter of University of Alabama at Birmingham, and the Sigma Eta Chapter at Stanford University are prime examples of the sorority's unwavering commitment to service, sisterhood, and scholarship. Members' strong dedication to social action continues to expand and safeguard the rights and privileges of all citizens while uplifting and protecting the vulnerable and underserved in our community. Now, therefore, I, Randall L. Woodfin, Mayor of the City of Birmingham, along with the Birmingham City Council, celebrate, acknowledge, and say a happy Founders Day to Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated on its 113th anniversary. And I invite all citizens to rise to the occasion and celebrate the sorority for the power, the purpose, and the passion it brings to Birmingham and its members to demonstrate the true impact of Voices United for Change. And before Councilor Smitherman speaks, I just want to acknowledge every DST member who works here at City Hall and provides that service to our constituents every single day. Thank you for your service, and thank you all. Oh, y'all look good too. Yeah. Not sure how I'm gonna get out of the way, but wish me luck. At this time, Madam President and Council, I invite Councilor Crystal Smitherman.
Probably can just move the mic over. There's a lot of us here. What a great day it is to be a Delta. It really is. Happy Founders Day, y'all. Delta means so much more to me than just being a member. I was raised by Delta. I was a Delta Gem. So imagine a 14, 15-year-old me, even shyer than I am now. And they took me and they made a leader out of me. They helped me to make it possible to go to college, be a leader in my community. That's important to stand on your own, even if you are by yourself, that you exhibit sisterhood. And it's very interesting because those same young women I was in Delta Gyms with have been lifelong friends. They actually ended up being Deltas. But Delta Sigma Theta, 113 years of sisterhood, scholarship, and service. Delta Sigma Theta, right off the top, went into the women's suffrage movement. That was one of the first things we did when we got founded. And we have hit the ground running since. So happy Founders Day, you all. Madam President and Councilor Smith, even though you all are AKAs, I believe divine. No, let's be real. I was raised by AK and the Alpha, so I have, And Madam President is actually one of my favorite AKAs, honestly, because she is an AKA who's very active in her community, right? So she embodies that. She not only wears the pink and green, but she gives back to young girls, the community. She has a legacy with her granddaughter, and that's what it's all about, Divine Nine. It's not about the different colors, the Kappas and the Alphas. It's about making sure that we move forward our community. So happy early Founders Day to you all. They're our sister too. And thank you, Mayor Woodfin, for this. And I actually have a resolution on behalf of the City Council I would like to give you all. Thank you.
Good morning, Mayor Woodfin and members of the Birmingham City Council. The Jefferson County has proudly served local communities for more than 30 years. Our members remain steadfast in carrying out the mission and vision of our founders, grounded in service, advocacy, and deep commitment to community impact. Mayor Woodfin, we extend a special thank you to you, not only for your leadership, but for joining us last year to bring greetings at our Founders Day observance, where we were honored to host Cheryl W. Turner, who currently serves as our international president and chair of board of directors of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Your presence reinforced the importance of strong partnerships between civic leadership and community organizations. It is through these collaborative relationships that we have been able to identify community needs and respond with programs that create long-term impact, such as our JCAC Legislative Page Program. Through this initiative, we provide high school juniors and seniors with the opportunity to serve as pages at the Alabama State Legislature, where they gain firsthand exposure to the legislative process, deepening their understanding of civic responsibility, and begin to see themselves as future leaders and change makers. Our members stand ready to engage with strong voice for the communities we are all called to serve. On behalf of Jefferson County Alumni Chapter, thank you for your leadership, and we appreciate each of you. Thank you.
Good morning. I am Natasha Burnett, president of the Birmingham Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Today, members of Delta Sigma Theta proudly commemorate 113 years since our founding on the campus of Howard University. From our very first public act, marching in the Women's Suffrage Parade, advocacy, justice, and civil engagement have been central to who we are. This year is especially meaningful for us here in Birmingham, as the Birmingham Alumni Chapter celebrates 95 years of service to this city. For nearly a century, our chapter has worked in partnership with community leaders to uplift families, empower youth, and advocate for policies that strengthen and protect our neighborhoods. Our presence before you today reaffirms that commitment. We thank Mayor Woodfin and this City Council for your leadership during these challenging times, as crime, particularly gun violence, continues to impact cities across our nation, including our own. As citizens of Birmingham and surrounding areas, today we say clearly and collectively, enough is enough. We are raising our voices here in Birmingham and alongside our representatives in Washington, D.C., to demand stronger, common sense gun laws that prioritize public safety and save lives. This is not a partisan issue. It is a moral one. We ask that you join us in this call by continuing to advocate and by encouraging residents to write, email, and call their House and Senate representatives. The time for meaningful legislation is now. Founders Day would not be complete without an act of service. The Birmingham Alumni Chapter will be distributing Thinking of You cards today to residents of Arlington and Cherry Hill nursing homes. We have cards available for you, and we ask that you please sign to today, okay? Shonda Temple, who has been outstanding to help us in collecting these cards from you this morning. Our plan is that we will include those cards with ours when they are delivered to residents today. Thank you for helping us share a moment of care and encouragement. Again, thank you for your leadership and your service to this city, as we have done for 113 years nationally and for 95 years locally. Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated will continue to be a light, working toward a safer, more just, and more hopeful future for all. Thank you.
Madam President, at this time, we're going to have every single person come up and say something.
Give them their name and the year of initiation.
That was I'm joking. Again, happy Founders Day, DST. Happy to have you here at City Hall. And at this time, if we could, this young man you see facing you is going to attempt to take a picture of all of us standing right here. Yeah, Tim.
Here we go, ladies. 1, 2, 3. Taking a few. 1, 2, 3.
One second, everyone.
Hey, Judge. Let me see.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Before you go.
Madam President?
Yes. We
Yes.
do have a little business. Hold on one second. I would like to bring unanimous consent.
Move for UC.
Second.
All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. All opposed?
Now move the resolution.
All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. At this time, we do have some counselors that would like to make some comments. I would like to say we're very excited to have you all here today. I wish you a great and wonderful Founders Day. 113 years of service to the community. That is so much to be honored for. When you talk about advocacy, justice, civic engagement, you all do it internationally and you do it on a local level too. So I want to thank you for the work that you do in our communities, and we have your charge, and we will take that to those that serve with us. Thank you so much. At this time, we do have a couple of counselors that like to speak. Madam Pro Tem.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, and to all the distinguished sisters of the Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Congratulations on your 113th day. I do want to highlight what you said about gun violence. The mayor made a post earlier this year and telling people that this not by any chance is a victory lap. We had very low numbers this year with gun violence, and I want to thank the mayor for investing in initiatives, and also Uche Bean and also the organizations that's invested in the work. We do want to work with you all. We will get you guys plugged in and continue to lift our voices, because as you stated, this is not a partisan issue. Gun violence is a public health threat to anybody, it's anywhere, and the numbers are raising all across this nation, but people are making significant efforts to lower the numbers in gun violence. I get with my colleague and make sure that we get you guys plugged into the Offender Alumni Association, who is doing some great work with our hospital violence intervention program. We have One Hood, today about Jacoby Williams. We have the Urban Leagues, Free the Street. So we want to make sure we get you guys plugged into this work so we can do this work. I totally agree with you, and my colleagues know that is the number one priority for me, a number one priority. Again, I cannot thank the mayor enough for trusting the process and believing in what we have been able to accomplish here in this city in Birmingham. Not by chance or accident, we will continue to decrease the number of violence, and with you all raising your voice as a collective, and writing letters and going to Montgomery, standing on business letting people know that we are not going to continue to let gun violence impact our communities. We want investments, we want common sense investments in gun violence, and I applaud you all for that.
Counselor Smith?
All right, well, happy Founder's Day. And thank you for joining us here today. It's such an honor for you all to be here with us. Thank you to Councilor Smitherman for having, for the resolution. And just wanted to say just how appreciative I am to the service that you provide to our community. And we have several members of the city that work for the city that are here with us, and then leaders in our community. So just thank you for everything that you do.
Thank you so much. Oh, I'm sorry. Counselor Woods.
Got to get at least one gentleman in, so she tried to wrap it up real quick. But no, I just wanted to thank y'all for being here today, man. It's just an honor to be able to celebrate with y'all. Just an incredible optic of just seeing all of you here together today. And I've seen so much of the work you do in the community collectively, but then even individually, I see so many familiar faces that serve in so many impactful spaces. And so I'm truly just appreciative of what you all do for our city. And I also got to shout out my chief of staff, who's out there somewhere, Amanda Plain, who just does an incredible job. So, but no, I really appreciate having you all here, and just anything that we can do for you, don't hesitate to let us know.
Just so those city employees, if you could just raise your hand and be acknowledged. You too, retired as well? Well, again, everyone, happy Founder's Day, and thank you all so much.
Thank you so much.
Madam
And
President,
we'll sign these
that
for
concludes
you
the
as
mayor's
well.
report.
Thank you, Mayor Whitman. We'll give them a chance to. Counselors, they did leave us the cards, and so we'll take that time. Did you want us to sign each card or just individually? Just individually, individually. Yes, sir. Thank you. All right, counselors, at this time, we will entertain the consent agenda. Before we review the items that are considered for consent, I'd like to give you information concerning the conduct of business. All items designated as consent are considered to be routine and non-controversial and will be approved by one motion. No separate discussion of these items will be permitted unless a council member, the mayor or citizen interested in a public hearing so requests. If so, such items will revert to its normal place on the agenda order of business. All matters of permanent operation, and those are indicated with a capital P on the agenda, will be read. All other matters will be announced by reading the item numbers only. All public hearings will be announced. At this time, Mr. Clerk, if you'll give us the items that are being considered for consent.
Yes, ma'am. The consent agenda starts on page 2 with items 2, 3, and 4. Page 3, we have items 5, 6, 7, and 8 on consent. Page 4, items 9, 10, 11, and 12 are on consent. Page 5, items 13, 14, and 15 are on consent. Page 6, items 16, 17, 18, and 19 are on consent. Page 7, we have items 20, 21, 22, and 23. Page 8, items 24 and 25 are on consent. We skip over to page 19, item 26 is on consent. And we skip over to page 28, items 27 and 28 are on consent. Page 29, we have items 30 and 31 on consent. Please note a couple of changes to item 30. The total amount should change to $12,500. That's $12,500. And the addition would be $2,500 from Council Smitherman's district. The GL account is 001 underscore 00 underscore 042 underscore 60 underscore 542 underscore 001. That's District 6, addition of $2,500. Page 30, we'll pick back up with the consent agenda with items 32, 33, and 34. Item 32 was recommended by Budget and Finance. You can make that notation. Page 31, please remove item 35 from the agenda. It should be withdrawn. And items 36, 37, and 38 are on consent. Page 32, we have items 39, 40, and 41 on consent. I have several changes to item number 41. The total amount is going to change to $5,500. We're going to add $250 to the following schools: Minor, Brown, Bush Hills, Central Park, and Princeton. And then $3,000 will go to the Birmingham City Schools Music Department. Again, that total amount will change to $5,500. Then we skip over to page 34. We'll pick back up with the consent agenda with items 42, 43, and 45. Page 35, we have items 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, and 52 on consent. Page 36, items 30, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, and 59 are on consent. Page 37, items 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, and 66 are on consent. Page 38, items 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, and 73 are on consent. Page 39, items 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, and 80 are on consent. Please note that on item number 80, the address should be corrected to 4829 14th Avenue North. That's 4829 14th Avenue North. Page 40, items 81, 82, 83, and 84 on consent. And we conclude with items 85, 86, 87, and 88 on page 41.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. At this time, councilors, are there any items that you would like to add or remove from consent? Councilor Vasa?
Madam President, consent item number 42, I'd like to abstain from that, so remove from
Okay, so we'll
consent.
move that from consent to allow that extension. So item 42 has been removed from consent. Any other items? See, I see a request from the public. Yes, sir? That particular item, I'll have to go to the help of the chief clerk. Mr. Clerk, I believe this item cannot be, have
Well,
a public
not,
hearing.
you know, the council could entertain comments from residents or whatever, but it's not an item of permanent operation or
Yes.
a public hearing item, so it's not a public hearing item.
So, sir, this item is not for what is permanent operation, so we're not allowed to ask you to have a public hearing on that item. If you want to speak to that item, you would have an opportunity to sign up during Community Voices, and then you'd be able to sign up for that item, to speak to it directly. Do you want to speak to the item? Okay, well, you can sign up for Community Voices, but we will continue to keep it on consent. Unless the council wants to move it from consent, we'll still have it Community Voices. Thank you. Any other items? All right, at this time, we'll entertain a second and a motion for the items that are considered for consent.
So moved.
And who was the second? I'm sorry. Was it Pro Tem?
Pro Tem.
Thank you. Let's try the machines. They should be open for voting. I hope. Okay, let me help everybody out. Councilmember Gunn? Aye. All right, Councilmember O'Quinn? Aye. Councilmember Smith?
Aye.
Councilmember Smithman? Aye. Councilmember Vasa? Aye. Councilmember Woods? Aye. Okay, President Pro Tem Tate? Aye. Council President Alexander?
Aye.
All right, those votes should be up, Madam President.
All right, those items that were considered for consent have been approved. If you're here for any of those items, they've been approved, and we'll continue with the rest of our agenda. At this time, councilors, I'd like to ask for unanimous consent to allow for a special presentation. Okay, at this time, Councilor Smith, if you'll join me at the podium. And Mayor Woodfin. Ask the members of Alpha Kappa Alpha to please join us at the podium. Those members that are coming in, if you'll join us at the podium. At this time, for those members of the audience who are not members of the Divine Nine, you may be wondering, what in the world is going on today? But for those of us who are members of organizations of the Divine Nine, January is a very important month for us. And a lot of our organizations were organized and founded in the month of January. So today, we are very excited to have the members of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated join us today for Councilor Smith and I will be bringing a resolution where we want to proclaim January 15th, Thursday, is AKA Day in Birmingham. We also have our esteemed mayor who will be also presenting a proclamation. It is my honor today to stand before you, not only as the council president, but as a member of Omicron Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. Councilor Smith and I were very excited to have this opportunity to bring members together today to bestow this honor into our sorority. For those of you who may not be aware, we actually have 6 graduate chapters that are operating within the metro area of Birmingham, Alabama. So we're very excited to have a lot of the leadership and those members here with us today, as well as our Southeastern and international leaders. And so we're very excited to have you. Councilor Smith is going to come before you and just talk a little bit more about how we brought about this idea and how we're very excited to honor Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority today. Councilor Smith.
Thank you. Yes, it is truly an honor to stand here with the ladies of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. So we, as was stated, have our Founders Day this upcoming Thursday, January 15th. But we also wanted to recognize the fact that we have our regional conference coming up this April. So members from Alabama, Mississippi, and Tennessee will descend upon Birmingham, where we will meet under the leadership of Tracy Moran Adams. So we are so excited to welcome the sophisticated Southeastern region to Birmingham this April. So at this time, I will introduce Malaria Wright and Tammy Fincher so they have some words for us.
Madam President, Wardine Alexander, Mayor Randall Woodson, and the esteemed members of the Birmingham City Council, I am Malaria Traylor Wright. I serve as the Chief of Staff for Alpha Kappa Alpha Southeastern Region. And joining me today is, at the podium, is Ms. Tammy Fincher, Omicron Omega Chapter and General Chairman of the 94th Southeastern Regional Conference that will be hosted in Birmingham in a few months this year. We also have Mrs. Ashley Weaver, Phi Iota Omega Chapter and the conference Vice Chairman of Programs, and the Honorable Jamiria Moore, Upsilon Eta Omega Chapter, and the Conference Vice Chairman of Logistics. On behalf of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, Southeastern Regional Director, Dr. Tracy Moran Adams, and members of the Southeastern region, it is my honor, as Dr. Adams is currently traveling through Ghana, Africa, doing the business and the mission of Alpha Kappa Alpha. It is my honor to express Alpha Kappa Alpha's deepest gratitude for the proclamation recognizing the 118th founding of our beloved sorority and for designating this day or this month in honor of our sorority. For 118 years, Alpha Kappa Alpha has stood on the pillars of sisterhood, scholarship, and service, working tirelessly to uplift communities, strengthen families, and empower individuals. The proclamation you will adopt today honors that legacy and reaffirms the importance of civic engagement, partnership, and community service in this great city. We are profoundly honored for your recognition. We accept the distinction with gratitude, pride, and renewed commitment to continue servicing the people of the great city of Birmingham and beyond. Again, thank you. And now I will allow Ms. Tammy Fincher, the General Chairman of the 94th Southeastern Conference, to speak.
Good morning. We are so excited that 6,000 members will join us from Tennessee, Mississippi, and Alabama in Birmingham, April 29th to May the 2nd. So thank you, Birmingham City Council, for your support. We do invite you to our public meeting. That's Thursday, April the 30th. So the City Council and the public and the mayor are invited to join us. So we're excited to paint the town pink and green in the spring. Thank you so much.
I love that. Paint the town pink and green in the spring. And 4,000 of us and a little bit more, we'll definitely do that. At this time, we do want to present a resolution that Councilor Smith and I are co-signing off on to again proclaim this as AKA Day in Birmingham on January 15th in observance of our 118th Founders Day. So I'll let you do the honors, Councilor, in moving for unanimous consent.
So I'd like to ask for unanimous consent.
All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. All Opposed?
Okay, and a motion to accept this resolution.
All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. All opposed?
Thank you. And now, Mayor Whitman, I believe you have some business.
It has been stated that it's not worth repeating, so I'll just say two things. In 48 hours, we'll run this back, and I'll see you all in April.
That's right.
Happy early Founder's Day.
Thank you.
Thank you all. I think the same thing on the picture, ladies, so we're gonna take it right here, so.
All right, 1, 2, 3. Beautiful, thank you.
One last comment. This has been, well, I thank everyone for coming, but especially want to thank Ms. Felicia Jolly for all of her hard work in making this happen today. She has gone above and beyond, so thank you so much. And also our AKAs at City Hall, Sylvia Bowen, everyone that has worked to pull today's event together, so thank you.
Thank you all very much. Thank you, everyone, for your patience. At this time, we'll go back to our agenda. And Mr. Clerk, if you'll call the first item.
Should be item 1. And a little language change on the synopsis. An ordinance to provide for a temporary suspension on the establishment or expansion of data centers. And this is also not the first reading, should be second reading on this item.
All right, thank you. So at this time, we are having a public hearing.
Move the item.
Sorry.
All right, item is before you.
All right, thank you. This item is before us. This is an ordinance that we're having a public hearing where we want to hear from the public to provide, the request is to provide a temporary suspension on the establishment of the expansion of data centers. At this time, this is a public hearing. I'm going to turn this over to the chair of our Planning and Zoning Committee. We do want to call first, though. We'd like to have information from the administrative team about this particular item, but I'll turn the public hearing over to you, Dr. O'Quinn.
Okay, great. So I see Director Thomas. Director Thomas, if you would come and tell us about the proposed suspension.
Turn your mic on, thank you.
Good morning, Council. My name is Katrina Thomas, and I have the pleasure of serving as Director of the Department of Planning, Engineering, and Permits. And today I'll be co-presenting this item with Hunter Garrison, who serves in our Office of Resiliency and Sustainability. And we'll provide a brief presentation with background and planning context related to data centers, the data center development within the city. We're not presenting final policy. I do want to make that very clear, that this is just a recommendation and that we're outlining the basis for a temporary suspension request before you today. And so there is a presentation that I think is being loaded, but I'll go ahead and proceed while that's coming up. as mentioned, this is a temporary 6-month suspension. Initially, we thought that maybe that with this needed 9 months. So initially, there was a 270-day suspension that was requested. However, we do believe that we can have some draft regulations ready within 180 days. So this is a 6-month suspension. And the intent during this suspension period is to allow time for us to evaluate our existing zoning ordinance to assess whether amendments may be warranted. Currently, our zoning ordinance does not define data centers, and so they have been historically classified as office use, non-manufacturing research and development use, and what we have seen is that there has been an uptick in different types of data centers that we do not currently have in the city. And so staff is requesting this 6-month suspension. And I do want to make it clear also that projects that have already started the permitting process, if any actual development plans or permits that have already been submitted to our office for expansion or construction of a new data center, those projects will not be affected by this moratorium or this temporary suspension. During the suspension period, staff will be reviewing emerging best practices. We will conduct public engagement. We will develop the potential zoning amendments for consideration. There may also be some amendments to the general city code, and any proposed amendments will go through the normal regulatory process, meaning they will go to the Birmingham Planning Commission, the Planning and Zoning Committee, and ultimately you as the City Council for final review and approval. I'll pass it over now to Hunter to discuss some of the research that we have on data centers.
Thank you, Katrina. So good morning, everyone. My name is Hunter Garrison. I serve as the Deputy Director in the Mayor's Office of Resilience and Sustainability. I've been helping and assisting PEP and Katrina's team with doing some background research on this emerging new land use. So I'm just kind of going to go over that for all of you at a high level now. So what is a data center? It's really a catch-all term for facilities that house computer servers and IT infrastructure. They typically operate for 24 hours a day, require specialized power, cooling, and water systems, and often resemble warehouses but function very differently. So why do this now? So data center development has evolved rapidly in scale and intensity in the past year, 2 years. And what we're seeing is, so that the top image here is a typical enterprise-style data center. That's what's currently existing in the city today. Those often operate around the 5 megawatt range, and megawatts is not something that I was personally trained to think about in planning school, but what I've learned is that 1 megawatt is enough to power about 1,000 residential homes. So as those go up in scale, so do their energy demands, potentially the noise output, and just their impact on the surrounding neighborhood and community. So you can see the top, this is similar to what we have existing in Birmingham today, like a DC blocks. And then the bottom image is what we're calling a hyperscale data center. It's something we need to create a definition for, and these uses are often much more intense in terms of their energy use. They often resemble a more industrial type complex, and those range from 200 to 500, 600, 700 megawatts. The XAI data center, Colossus in Memphis, currently operates, I think, around the 300 to 400 megawatt range, but is scaling up rapidly to around 1,200 megawatts. So as I said, these existing data centers have been considerably smaller in scale today, and we've deemed them compatible with other commercial uses. But as these newer, more intense ones emerge, we recognize a need to draft definitions for these, how we define them, potentially break them up into multiple classifications, and analyze their impact on the community. So again, these new hyperscale data centers are growing at a tremendous rate. Some have experienced considerable community pushback or controversy, and in worst case, communities have experienced decreased air quality, lower property values, and increased energy bills. That is on the extreme case, I will underline that, and we've seen a lot of pushback around Memphis. Not all of these are at that scale or have that level of pushback. I'm only outlining a true, like, sort of worst-case scenario that's happened in the U.S. So this is not anti-development. We believe these can provide benefit to Birmingham. Staff just needs time to ensure the community benefits as a whole. We should consider site location, noise regulations, general environmental impact, water usage, and energy use. So here's an example of another new hyperscale data center. This is in Newton County, Georgia. Is that slide up? Could you go back one slide, please? Oh, sorry, it's hidden. So yeah, we'll keep going. I've shown some examples of the hyperscale ones. So here's some municipalities that have passed ordinances around the country. Could you go back to the Georgia slide specifically? So we're not alone in doing this. Data centers have experienced quite a boom in Georgia, and as of October 2025, 11 Georgia cities or counties have either passed an ordinance or are going through some type of temporary suspension or moratorium process while they draft legislation around regulating data centers. And here's municipalities across the country that have passed ordinances. One of the things we're seeing is that every city and county is doing this a little bit differently. Sometimes they're simply creating a definition and allocating them to their existing zoning categories. Other cities create overlays or create simply like noise regulations or other exemptions requiring additional council oversight. So we are currently conducting that research and really just need time to figure out what works with Birmingham, work with the Planning and Zoning Commission, work with the Planning Council, work with you, the council, on figuring out what best serves the needs of our community. So summary and next steps. As Katrina stated, this is temporary, 6 months, and not intended to ban any development. It's simply a time to put in place meaningful guardrails to ensure that we're protecting the needs of the community while allowing for this type of growth. The intent is to review best practices, hear from the public, and draft mindful regulations. Currently underway projects are exempt, and any project that is not currently underway is still entitled to an appeal to you, the council, for that exemption. So I think that's it. Thank you.
All right. Does the council have any questions regarding the information that's been presented? Okay. If not, we'll move on to hearing from the public. So if you're here to speak to this issue, we'll welcome you to come and make comment at the lectern. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to present. Please state your name and address when you come to the mic and speak. So,
Excuse me, Dr. O'Quinn, I apologize
Sure.
for my delay. I do have one question. I did look up, and apparently we have about 5, 6 centers already. Do we know what type of impact those centers have had on the community? And were there any concerns, for example, which I haven't heard any because DC Blocks is in my district, when they came, I think back in 2019, were there any concerns about data centers then?
I'll let Katrina handle the question around DC Blocks and those concerns. I know they did go through a rezoning because that property was mixed use, and they simply went with something that would accommodate their building more. But in general, the existing data centers that are in Birmingham today operate at a smaller scale, and they're what you would kind of truly think of as a data center, and that they're storing servers, file storage, cloud computing, things like that. Whereas, so typically operating between 1 and 5 megawatts, considerably smaller in terms of their energy demand, not unlike a large commercial office building. The larger scale ones that are kind of what give us some concern are operating at a 200 plus megawatt scale, sometimes significantly larger, as we're seeing around the country and around our region. And those are the ones that have considerable energy demands beyond what we've seen existing in Birmingham, and could potentially put out more noise or cause more issues around the community. The smaller ones that are existing today really don't have any impact or that we've seen or have been tremendously concerned about.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Councilor Vasa?
Thank you. I had a question, thank you, Hunter, for that, on what the process and timeline is for permit applications typically.
So, great question. It really depends on what regulatory action they need. If there's a regulatory action that's needed to establish a new use, then it would go through that regulatory process. It could be rezoning, it could be a zoning board of adjustment request. But typically, if it's just permitting, then it usually goes through, could be a 2-week, could be a 2-week at a minimum process for commercial development, and that is, it starts with a plan review submittal, and then various different departments, there's an interdepartmental coordination on those reviews, and then a permit is issued. But usually some site work in terms of soil erosion, civil construction permits, all of those permits are applied for, as well as any type of building permit, and that will go through our normal building permit review process.
Thank you, Director. So I heard it's typically a 2-week process unless there's sort of more formal regulatory pieces.
That's correct.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilor Gunn?
Yes, thank you. For any of the sites that we have studied in the past or previously across the country, do we know or understand any of the environmental implications behind these data centers?
We have not conducted specific studies regarding the existing ones, but as Hunter mentioned, we have not heard of any adverse impacts for the ones that we have here.
Councilor Smith?
I know you mentioned you haven't heard of any adverse impacts to the data centers here. What about in other locations?
Yeah, you want to speak on the research?
So I'll jump in. Each data center is a little bit unique. So you have some examples like there's Loudoun County, Virginia, which has experienced a data boom essentially because of their proximity to DC and the amount of fiber optic they have. So it's very fast. They created sort of a data center alley where all of their data centers are generally located. It's much like an office park if you drove through it. And they put the infrastructure in place for it to really be a non-issue. On the other side of the coin, you have Colossus in Memphis, which is generating much of its power through natural gas turbines on site. The University of Tennessee conducted a study that found nitrogen oxide levels had increased 70% in the area immediately surrounding the data center and 10% in the closest neighboring community. So there was a direct peer-reviewed study that showed there was a reduced air quality and air pollution in neighborhoods surrounding the Memphis data center.
Councilor Gunn?
Yeah, along that line of Councilor Smith, what are the impacts to utility rates, if any?
I don't think I'm necessarily equipped to speak directly about the impacts on utility rates, as every state regulates that differently through their Public Service Commission.
All right. Councilor Smitherman?
Thank you, Dr. O'Quinn. And, I've been trying to do a little bit of research myself, just to really kind of understand what's going on. I guess it's more of like a suggestion or a question. If this is possible, and of course I haven't read other ordinances, if we can require them, I know there's a difference in, is it open loop versus closed loop? I think closed loop, let me read this right. It's where it's a cooling system that minimizes their water consumption. And I wonder if like in our ordinance, we could require or make something like that where, if we allow a center to come, they can take that burden, especially off of the citizens. Yes.
Something we can look at.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely, thank you.
Okay. Councilor Woods?
Thank you. Yeah, like I said, I think we've been all kind of running down this rabbit hole and learning a lot in a short period of time. I think one thing that we definitely need to look at doing is, I think you kind of mentioned this briefly, but categorizing these different types of data centers. What I've seen is there is really a one-size-fits-all box in terms of putting every type of data center in one box, and I've kind of kind of taken to describing that as, you know, whether it's an 18-wheeler or a golf cart, it's a part of the same conversation. And so from what I've seen, it appears that, you know, hyperscale data centers kind of bring the biggest concerns as well as the biggest impacts. And so I think, you know, definitively in our next steps, I think we need to clarify and define processes for each type of data center going forward. So I do want to just mention that most of what I've kind of read and heard and just conversations have been centered around hyperscale, when, you know, like a DC Blocks project brings some value, but, you know, doesn't really come with the same type of issues. So just making sure that we drive and actually, I don't know if it needs to be 2 categories or 10 categories, but we do need to have some way to categorize what we are reviewing as it comes. So thank you.
Absolutely, we will.
Council President Alexander?
Yes, thank you very much. I just want to be sure that as a department, you are considering some of the questions that we as counselors are bringing before you, because it's important to me, for the residents that I represent, that we have all of the information as we weigh and look at any type of, looking at our existing zoning ordinances, and looking also considering policy that we can have that could help us as we move forward. My questions are centered around the timing. You're requesting a 6-month suspension. So give me some idea of what you would be doing during that time frame to answer some of the questions, and I'm sure some of the comments and questions that we will be receiving from the public.
Yes, absolutely, Council President Alexander. So during the 6-month period, we will continue research. We have, as you can tell from the Hunter's presentation, we have already conducted a substantial amount of research. And so we will then begin to look at what an ordinance amendment could look like for our city. It will absolutely include those environmental impacts. It will include defining data centers in categories, so that we may look at certain sizes of properties, so certain acreage, certain impacts, certain infrastructure needs or utility needs that are on the property, and define those by use in the zoning ordinance. And then we will submit those draft regulations to our planning commission for them to provide a recommendation as well. Part of that public engagement will provide an opportunity for the public to weigh in. That planning commission meeting is a public hearing that we will invite the public to attend that meeting. And then the next step would be the planning and zoning committee of the city council to make a recommendation. A lot of the 6-month time period will be the advertisement that's necessary for an amendment to our zoning ordinance. So our goal would be to try to have those draft regulations ready for review in March, so that we can see our way to the public hearing process and have a timeline for that public hearing process. If at any time we don't believe that we'll be able to complete the regulations within that 6-month time period, then there are provisions in the suspension ordinance to for us to request an extension. We hope we don't have to do that, but that is in place in case we needed to request an extension. But it will go through the normal zoning amendment text change process that we have in place now.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Pro Tem?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to echo the sentiments of my colleagues, because they pretty much asked you all the questions that I had in mind, but I do wholeheartedly agree with everything everybody up here is saying. Thank you all, for what you're doing as well.
All right, Council Woods, you have another question?
Yes, thank you. Quickly, just wanted to ask, has it been considered of creating a special exception category in the zoning to kind of just trigger a set process whenever these come?
Council Woods, that is something that we will take into consideration. The special exception process that we have now goes to the Zoning Board of Adjustment for that special exception, whereby the applicant will have to show that the proposed use will not create any public safety issues or harm the adjacent property owners. And so that is one path that we could consider, but we will weigh all options to make sure that the regulations are fair and balanced, and takes into consideration the need for public input. Some data centers may have a utility substation on the property, and we already have regulations in place now for substations and how they are approved, and they do currently require a special exception through the Zoning Board of Adjustment.
Yeah, because like I said, I think to Councilor Smitherman's point, whether it operates on a closed loop using recycled water or open loop where it's constantly pulling in fresh water, that's a drastic difference in impact on community and even energy usage. In parts of the country where, the developers are required to upfront fund any grid improvements, so any infrastructure improvements for their power-related services. You don't see a lot of increased costs associated with those projects, but where you see projects where developers are not required to put upfront money in for infrastructure improvements, you do see some increases. And so, just trying to think through everything, but those are different categories. And so, like if you have a closed loop, it's just a big different impact. And so, whether we go kind of special exception pathway or just finding out some of these differences to help categorize like the different types of data centers, because that's the one thing I just can't find. Like you got hyperscale and everything else, but there's not enough categorization. I don't think of this space.
Thank you. Councilor Bossa.
Thank you, Counselor. Director, thanks for the presentation. It was helpful to review some of the information. I think at some point it would be helpful to, whether at a committee of the whole meeting or some meeting coming up, understand better some best practices nationally. And you did present some of that. But having those best practices alongside maybe some longitudinal outcomes of what's the effects have been over the course of the last 2 or 3 years. I think that'll be really great to see. Bottom line concern is ultimately how does this affect residents from an environmental impact standpoint, from a rate standpoint, et cetera. I know those are things that you can provide.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. President Alexander.
Yes, I do want to piggyback on Councilor Voss's suggestion. We know that this is new technology that may be coming from expansion or placement of these type of centers into our neighborhoods. And so for me, it's very important. We have yet heard of any subject matter experts or people who may have dealt with this before. So I want to be sure that we incorporate that in any of the those findings to allow us to have an ordinance or a process that will look from a scope of a subject matter expert in how these centers may reflect on our residents as far as energy, water, those type of consumptions. And I know I heard someone talk about rates, energy rates. I know that those type of establishments would be governed by the Public Safety Commission, Service Commission, but again, I would like to be sure that we incorporate some type of subject matter experts, because I do feel there are a lot of questions that are still unanswered, even though we may already have these type of facilities in our city. But as we move forward and as others may want to come in, I think it's sure we understand that from a scope of the technology and what's going behind that we're putting into our districts.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right, so this is a public hearing. If you are here to comment on this issue, we ask that you line up on either side and come to the lectern. Each person will have 3 minutes to speak. As you come to there will be timers on the monitors behind us. As you come, please remember to state your name and address. So whoever wants to come up first, please do so. All right, thank you.
Morning. My name is Charles Miller. I'm actually a resident of the Highland Park neighborhood, but I'm here as the policy director for the Alabama Rivers Alliance. We're based in Forest Park at 4439 Fifth Avenue South, Birmingham. And we're a statewide nonprofit dedicated to protecting Alabama's 132,000 miles of rivers and streams through building partnerships, empowering citizens, and advocating for sound water policy and its enforcement. First, I want to commend the council for considering the suspension. I think this is a step that pretty much every town and city, municipality in the state should be looking at right now. I also want to commend the city staff who came up here with their presentation. They kind of stole a lot of my thunder. They did a very comprehensive job, and y'all asked a lot of really great questions of them. Alabama Rivers Alliance actually got involved in data center policy in Alabama because we as a state are at a severe disadvantage when it comes to properly siting data centers. Our state's water law is trapped in the 18th century with no way to resolve disputes among different water users and no way to effectively require equitable allocations to conserve water during times of drought. The risk of large-scale data center development is mostly one of cumulative impact, where we have too many of these in one place and it strains local water supplies, local energy supplies, and air quality. And as the city staff touched on, obviously not all data centers are created equal, and hyperscale data centers, as they discussed, are kind of one of the paramount areas of concern. I also want to say that like they said, there's a great deal of variation among these types of data centers, not just in size and scale, but even within data centers. And so I think the approach that they mentioned of looking at each of these almost on like an individual basis or creating categories is definitely a sound approach that I hope that the city staff continues to pursue. That technically complex landscape, I think, is exactly why the city should take this pause, take this step back, this temporary suspension, allow your very well-educated and intelligent staff to kind of set up something to bring to you guys that can really effectively, take a hard look at these projects when they propose to come to town. I think one of the things that President Alexander mentioned that I think has been really important in a lot of these throughout Alabama, throughout the Southeast, and throughout the country is transparency. So once again, I really appreciate the city council, announcing this ahead of time and seeking public involvement at all stages of the process. So we would urge you to go ahead and, when you decide to vote on this temporary suspension, please vote yes and give your staff the time to kind of set up some guardrails so that we can be sure that all of the projects that come to Birmingham are going to be beneficial for the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good morning. My name is Joey Griffin, 1721 13th Court South, District 6. I am 23 years old and I am Birmingham born and raised. Like Hunter said, data centers are nothing new. We have plenty all over Alabama. Most of those are non-AI centers. Noman Bashir with MIT says, what is different about generative AI is the power density it requires. Fundamentally, it is just computing, but generative AI training cluster might consume 7 or 8 more times energy than a typical computing workload. This subject regarding AI has intrigued me only recently. I used it to write emails for work, and occasionally I would get curious as to what my cat would look like as a human. So my usage of AI does have serious implications. From that same article written by MIT, each time a model is used, perhaps an individual asking ChatGPT to summarize an email, the computing hardware that performs those operations consumes energy. Our researchers have estimated that a ChatGPT query consumes about 5 times more electricity than a simple web search. We don't think about this when we ask ChatGPT to write an email that we are perfectly capable of writing ourselves. We all took English in school, I hope? Yep. You may have heard about the AI bubble. It's confusing to understand without visualization and research done in your personal time. To summarize, multi-billionaires have companies that have a ginormous stake in AI production. AI data centers require something called RAM. In short, it just stands for random access memory. Basically, it's just a product that makes it easier for CPUs to run because RAM provides storage. AI needs RAM to be profitable. So companies have put trillions of dollars into this. Trillions of non-existent money to be installed in non-existent GPUs in centers that do not exist yet in Birmingham. The money being spent to build these machines is all stake. This AI bubble is a big gambling addiction, growing larger for billionaires to cash out when the bubble pops. None of this involves me or you. None of it involves the employment rate, the homeless crisis here in Birmingham, nor the bettering of education or producing any real money for the city. Give Birmingham 9 months or 6 months now. If a company wants to build in our city, demand proof that it will not affect our water or power. Ask for proof that it will not create significant noise and light pollution to surrounding communities. More importantly, ask how will this benefit the everyday resident. Give this bubble 6 months to see if it pops. If it doesn't,
Your
hooray.
time's up.
Huh?
Please wrap up. Your time's
Okay.
up.
Choose Birmingham, not billionaires.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Ryan Anderson. I'm a staff attorney at the Southern Environmental Law Center. Our address is 2829 2nd Avenue South. And I just want to say thank you to the City Council for considering this temporary suspension on data centers. I've had the pleasure of speaking with a couple of you about some more specific concerns. And as a lifelong resident of Birmingham, someone who lives and works here, I'm really encouraged to see y'all taking this proactive step. I also come into this with the perspective of having worked with a lot of Jefferson County residents on the Bessemer data center proposal. And learning from that experience, I've seen how crucial it is for local governments to ensure that data center development occurs in a way that safeguards communities, public health, and the environment. Local governments have a particularly important role here because often they have the local zoning authority that provides the only backstop to ensure that these developments are sited in an appropriate way. And that's why SELC is here today, supporting this temporary suspension in the city of Birmingham. As it's been noted by many of you and members of the public, there's no universally accepted definition of a data center. A data center can be a development like DC Blocks, which is about 31,000 square feet and requires about 5 megawatts of power, or it could be the Bessemer Data Center, which requires about 1,200 megawatts and it is expected to be about 4.5 million square feet. And just to put that into perspective, the Bessemer Data Center, that 1,200 megawatts is enough to power 760,000 residential homes in the state of Alabama. And it could require construction of an entirely new power plant, the cost of which could get passed on to existing Alabama Power customers. Existing zoning ordinances just don't take these kinds of resource needs into account. In Bessemer, they recently redefined their light industrial category to include data centers as a permitted use, which means that anytime a data center developer comes along, they get to site that data center in the light industrial zone, and those local city leaders do not have any say in whether that's an appropriate use of the land and our shared resources. These types of common sense regulations you're considering can also ensure decisions about data center development are made in equitable ways. Zoning decisions can reinforce systematic environmental injustices, and zoning decisions about data centers are no different. Here in Birmingham, thoughtful planning and zoning can ensure that communities that are already overburdened by pollution don't have to shoulder the burden of data center development. For these reasons, SELC supports this temporary suspension, and we thank you for the opportunity to provide public comment.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Dion Gordon, 2200 First Avenue North. I have the pleasure of serving as the president of Tech Birmingham. It is our regional technology association representing about 200 individuals, founders, startups, companies, and collectively about 10,000 employees. And so you can imagine I've heard a lot about this proposal from some of our members and some of the folks in economic development circles. Now, I will say it would be wise for us as a city to consider every single thing that the individuals before me have discussed, that you all are discussing among yourselves. I cannot, as a son of Birmingham, not acknowledge the fact that we have, unfortunately, a long legacy of industry coming in and exploiting the city. That might make me a bad salesman, but hopefully it makes me a proper citizen. I also want to look and consider the other side as well and make sure that we remain aggressive and competitive as a city as it relates to technology, innovation, and projects of the like. I think back to 2017 almost as an inflection point. That was when Shipped sold to Target for $550 million. A lot of people look at that as our flagship tentpole moment, Birmingham's kind of coming out celebration, that we were serious about technology and innovation. Shortly after that, in 2018, a lot of you all know Shagan Odolana, Theranos, first successful exit. A few other initiatives took place after. And then in 2019, as you all already know, DC Blocks, the entire community came out and celebrated the ribbon cutting of that data center project. And so to me, that tells me that we're not anti-business. We are not anti-economic development. But I think it is also an opportunity for us to get ahead of all of the issues right now. And the concerns that I am hearing, and many that I share, is that a moratorium sends the message that we are not open for business, that we are not competitive. And I want to make sure that I don't unnecessarily conflate the two, that a moratorium means that we are not open for business or that we shouldn't do these things. I think it is important for us to look at this as an opportunity to create a new model, to create a new framework, one that removes delays, one that removes ambiguity, one that encourages smart, reasonable economic development. I cannot say that a moratorium and the message that it sends does that, but I do believe this is an opportunity for us to position Birmingham at the forefront. So thank you for your time. I look forward to working with you. I appreciate the leadership that you all are showing to this topic. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hi, everybody. My name is Kelly Marshall, and I am the Secretary of the Highland Park Neighborhood Association. I live at 3015 13th Avenue South in Highland Park. I want to kind of echo what people are saying. Thank you so much for talking about this, for being transparent, for listening, for asking all the right questions, and for considering a thoughtful approach to this development. I'm here today, like others, to urge the City Council to adopt this temporary moratorium so that the city can thoughtfully develop a comprehensive framework to regulate all of these data centers and all the different levels of them. We're in the midst of an enormous expansion of data center infrastructure throughout the United States, and states like Alabama are firmly within the crosshairs of this industry. Like most industries that experience rapid growth, there's an enormous amount of hype and marketing surrounding data centers and the AI industry that fuels their growth. There's also a lack of regulation and transparency around this industry, and there are some real economic concerns that data center development and AI factories may be a financial bubble that will soon pop. Generative AI is what is driving the current data center build-out. Most, although not all, but most new data center construction is designed to serve that industry. That's an industry that has yet to break even, let alone post a profit. 95% of organizations that have integrated these large language models are getting zero returns on their investment, according to an MIT study. At the same time, most companies in this space are fully subscribed to the move fast philosophy with the hopes but no guarantee of any future profit. Well, we all know when things are moving fast and you don't slow down, we know it's beneficial to slow down, to take a step back and ensure that we take a hard look at the actual real benefits and the actual real costs. That's exactly what this moratorium would allow the city to do, and I am so thankful that you guys are considering it. There are some data centers that are good neighbors. that provide the real economic benefits to the communities where they're located. There are some that don't disclose all of the pollution, don't disclose all of the future costs, and of course the costs that end up on the ratepayer and other drawbacks. Without specific guidelines for how to evaluate these projects, the city risks overlooking all those important aspects of data center proposals. This temporary pause in the city of Birmingham would allow you to develop these guidelines, and I urge you to adopt this moratorium. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please. Just a reminder, please state your name and address as you begin to speak. Thank you.
Hey, good morning. Madam President, members of the council, Mayor, I appreciate the opportunity to be here today and speak before you. My name is David Perry. I live at 4215 Glenwood Avenue, have been a resident of District 3 for almost 25 years. I'm also a small business owner with office space at Innovation Depot, a BCS parent of 3, and the chairman of the Birmingham Industrial Development Board. I come before you with 3 purposes today. Number 1 is to thank you for taking this issue on in such a thoughtful and intentional manner. Number 2 is to offer my partnership and the partnership of the Industrial Development Board in working through this issue and fashioning the solution that you deem most appropriate for the communities that you represent and for the city that you all represent. And third, to encourage you to take a scalpel approach rather than a sledgehammer approach as you work through these issues. As you know, one of the main themes that we've heard today is that not all data centers are created equal. There are a lot of factors at play. Some are better neighbors than other. Some I would be comfortable as a resident of District 3 having in my neighborhood. Some I would not. You know, and there's a right way and a wrong way to go about these projects, both from the local government perspective and from the perspective of the companies proposing the projects and seeking to bring, depending on perspective and intent, to bring jobs, bring capital investment, bring support in a collaborative manner versus extracting concessions and extracting resources from the city in a way that degrades the quality of life. I think if y'all are asking great questions, Councilor Smitherman. The closed loop system is vastly superior to an open loop in terms of water consumption. Councilor Woods, being able to categorize these is the right way to go. We should not paint with a broad brush for all of them. What I would urge you to do as you consider this is to not impose a blanket moratorium. And a 6-month moratorium is better than a 9-month moratorium. A moratorium with an appeal process is better than one without it. So I think the staff and y'all are taking a thoughtful approach to this. But I worry both as a BCS parent with the opportunity for massive investment benefits, as the Industrial Development Board chair, about the message that a moratorium sends and the effect that a moratorium sends. And I would hate to see the city and the city's leaders not be open to discussion in good faith if a project were to come before you today, tomorrow, or 12 months from now. So in closing, I fully support the effort to update the ordinance. I think I would caution you against a moratorium, and I applaud the efforts, and I appreciate the public service, and I stand ready to partner with you all if I or the IDB can be of service as you move through this process. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
First of all, good morning. I'm John Meehan. I reside at 3001 Avenue D in Inslee. Councilwoman Tate is my representative. You know, as I look on that wall there, the people are the city. First of all, I want to commend you for bringing this moratorium to the people. That's great. But what I'm concerned about is 2 things. Our watersheds. As being an environmentalist, I'm concerned about our watershed. What impact will these data centers have on our watershed? You're talking about a data center running 24/7. And once they release those chemicals, into our watershed, I'm concerned about the watershed. Number two, the most important thing, utility rates. I am very concerned about the utilities. Once you build these data centers, they're gonna raise our rates. I mean, somebody's gonna have to pay the cost, and it's gonna be the ratepayers. And if we're the people of the city, we need to have a voice. We need to say, look, we don't want our rates to raise, our utilities to raise up, because it's gonna affect everybody. It's gonna affect the poor. It's gonna affect low-income citizens. It's gonna affect senior citizens. That's my concern. What are the rates are gonna be, are gonna take place once you build these data centers? So think about that in this moratorium. Think about the people that you represent and say, yes, we are concerned. We don't want data centers in our communities, period. But think about them. Think about the people you represent. These are the people, they're the people that put you into office. And they're the people that can vote you out of office. So let's think about that. Think about this moratorium, and think about watersheds, and think about utility bills. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
I'm Kyle Kreider. I am the Policy Director with the People's Justice Council, 131 41st Street South. The People's Justice Council, or PJC, operates at this, we're an interfaith organization, and we operate at this nexus of energy, climate, and justice. And we strongly support your proposed moratorium. Thank you for taking a deep breath, for taking a pause. And in addition to this stuff that you've already heard from the other speakers, here's just a few additional thoughts. Personally, I live just down the road from Project Marvel, the planned hyperscale data center in Bessemer. And the only marvel about Project Marvel is, if this goes through, how much our power bills are going to go up, unless our Public Service Commission manages to rein in these monsters. And personally, I'm not going to take a bet on that one. As you've heard, Project Marvel was zoned light industrial. 1,200 megawatts. That's the equivalent of not one, not two, but 12 oil refineries. To label hyperscale data centers light industrial is incredible. It's asinine, and a few other words I can't say here. So you're right. All data centers are not created equal, and we are not opposed to all data centers. I personally have an IT degree. I'm a college professor. I can tell you lots of legitimate uses of AI. But one of the, speaking of hyperscale, one of the problems is the hyperscale speculation that is literally fueling these new data centers, all these proposals for hyperscale and otherwise. So while we're not opposed to all data centers, one thing the pause can do is give us time, see if that bubble pops in the next 6 months. Give us time to get the zoning and all these other issues right, the air, the water, actually, I'm going to circle back, because one of the most damning things that I've heard against hyperscale data centers is from not from an environmental organization, but from the president of IBM, or the CEO of IBM himself, who said, there's no way a hyperscale data center can turn a profit. And I've done some fact checking on that, and I'm amazed. I think he's right. So, but going back to all data centers not being created equal, in the few seconds I've got remaining, please consider an ongoing ban on cryptocurrency data centers. If there was ever a Rube Goldberg device to crash people and planet, it's those. I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Paige Klein. I live at 2727 Highland Avenue South, number 109. First, I just want to say I feel fortunate to live in a city that is willing to press pause before it's too late, because what happened in Bessemer happened too fast. Secondly, I want to say and probably repeat what some people have already said, but that we can't be naive to think that what happened in Bessemer will not impact the citizens of Birmingham and probably the citizens of the entire state of Alabama. And that goes back to the water usage. So the state of Alabama does not have a statewide water plan, which means it's kind of a free-for-all and a wild, wild west. And so that is something that the Alabama Rivers Alliance and other organizations are working on. But without that in place, I really appreciate this opportunity to potentially pause and have the moratorium to learn more about the water. And I think the last thing that I want to say, something that I've learned about AI is that every silly photo, if you could just picture me holding 2 gallons of water, every silly photo of, what would my cat look like if it was a human, you're just pouring 2 gallons of water down the drain. And so I think another thing that comes with AI is just public awareness and knowledge that I think people don't realize the actual cost. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good morning, I'm Keith Williams. My address is 456 Kappa Avenue South, here in Birmingham. I'm the co-founder of Voters Legal Justice Watch Group. DC Block, the data center, is within walking distance of my house. So it's very close to a residential neighborhood. And so it's prompted me as much as often to monitor the activity of that data center. This moratorium would give us time as a city to really figure out how we're going to regulate our industry that poses so many questions as to how it's going to affect the air quality, how it's going to affect the water quality, how it's going to affect the rates. And so this will give us time to figure all this out so that the people who are affected by these data centers will have the information that they need in order to have an effective, thriving community without these problems among us. I do want to report that in terms of this data center, that in the Tisdale community, there has been no major concerns in terms of water quality, electricity use, although there has been some minor air quality issues that are in the immediate area. And mind for you though, DC Blocks is located on a piece of property which is considered to be a brownfield, along with the old Trinity site. That whole area is located in a brownfield, which means at one particular time that there's been a suggestion that the soil is somewhat contaminated, and every now and then it needs to be cleared of that contamination, to my understanding. In closing, I would just like to say that I do invite you all to, when this moratorium ending and we're working on a permanent solution, that you also include the various environmental organizations who deal with this kind of stuff every day, that we remain transparent and accountable so that the people will know exactly what's going on and that they have an opportunity to use their voices. That's the only thing I ask. Otherwise, I do support this moratorium. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Do I need to move?
Yes, you may
Okay.
pull it down, please.
Peggy Gargis, 3931 South River Circle. I live in the Cahaba watershed, and we've seen development aplenty there that I wish had taken a slower pace. I want to thank you all for considering a moratorium. I think it's the prudent thing to do. Another gentleman referred to Project Marvel, which I've learned of while I've been doing reading to research other data centers and their scale and their problems. That one went from 100 acres or 200 acres, I think, for the original approval. And within a year, I think it was, he'll know better than I will, I think it was more than 1,000 acres. And it was all because the original zoning opened up that for approval. It was like an automatic rubber stamp because they'd already done it the first time. I also heard about DRAM, and I appreciate that because while I was researching this week, I've read that memory chips, we are at a risk of all memory chips becoming hard to get and much more expensive because one chip provider has chosen to just concentrate on DRAM and DDR. So that vendor is going to be gone. Another component that's useful for data centers, if necessary, is aluminum for lightweight and anti-corrosive properties. Well, we don't have the smelting capacity in the U.S. to provide aluminum for the automotive industry, the aerospace industry, and the sustainable energy industry. If all of that aluminum goes into hyper data centers. I appreciate the other people who mentioned water. That's one of my main concerns. And at the November 17, 2025 board meeting of our new water utility, as I was viewing it, I was startled to hear that they were going to put to a vote, but they did not, a resolution to retroactively pay an organization named, I believe it was Water Research Foundation. Yeah. And I heard the words, to recruit data centers. So our water utility was going to pay the 2025 membership, starting from January 1, ending December 25, $80,000 to join an organization. And I'm not saying this is a bad organization. They probably do some really valid, really useful research in putting together information gathered from all other utilities to give them means to investigate and what they would need to do, whether they could provide that sort of thing.
Please wrap up your comments.
Okay, thank you. And so I just would really appreciate you guys providing this this moratorium. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good morning. I am Zion Sharp, the Community Science and Research Coordinator at GAS, the Greater Birmingham Alliance to Stop Pollution, located at 2320 Highland Avenue South, Birmingham, Alabama, 35205, Office 270. And first off, I just want to thank you for considering this moratorium, and I stand before you today to support it. However, a temporary pause is just a starting point. We feel as if this moratorium should lead to a permanent ban on hyperscale data centers and that the current restrictions apply to facilities of all sizes due to their cumulative impact on our city's health and resources. Our primary concern, and what should be yours, is our air. Data centers are often called clean, but they are powered by massive banks of industrial diesel backup generators. These are stationary smart machines. A single hyperscale facility can house up to hundreds of amounts of generators, and every time they are tested and used, they release nitrogen oxide and fine particulate matter into our neighborhoods. Particulate matter is a silent killer. It penetrates deep into the lungs and bloodstreams of our children and elderly. When we allow clusters of smaller facilities, we are essentially building a hyperscale monster in pieces. We cannot allow Birmingham to go back to the pollution hotspot it once was. We must also talk about our most precious resource, which is water. Data centers are resource ravenous, meaning they require millions of gallons of fresh drinking water to cool their servers because industrial scale cooling cannot use recycled water due to corrosion and bacterial growth. Once that water is used, it is treated with toxic biocides and corrosion inhibitors, rendering it non-recyclable. We can look at the data center hub located in Maricopa County, Arizona. The drought is now so extreme that the state has revoked permits for new homes because the groundwater is gone. Fresh water is not an endless supply. If we give it away to these tech giants today, we'll be fighting for it tomorrow. We aren't asking for the impossible. We're asking for what us cities have already done. Atlanta has put a ban on data centers in its Beltline district to protect pedestrian-focused growth. In Groton, Connecticut, they implemented a size cap of 12,500 square feet, which is about the size of a CVS. This was done to stop hyperscale development, and locals raised concerns over resource strain, noise, and environmental impact. We feel like we should limit the size of all data centers and require independent experts for any application. Let's protect Birmingham's air and water first. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
I guess he yielded his time, huh? To me. I'm Dorothea Crosby, and I'm the president of the Metro Birmingham branch here in the Metro Birmingham area. And we reside at 505 20th Street North at Suite 305. You've heard from a number of speakers this morning, and I will speak on behalf of the citizens of the Metro Birmingham, that area that we serve. These impacts of the data centers, of which you've heard, are energy use. Some estimates say the project was expected to use 9% of Alabama Power's capacity. Clean air and water, it would rely on fossil fuels and pollute our environment. Quality of data centers aren't good neighbors. The burden gets heavier the closer you live to one. Please vote yes on the suspension to keep asking, and please keep asking questions. Thank you, and I will yield my time to the next person.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good morning, Sandra Smith, 105 Oxmoor Place. And when we are under this moratorium, I'm just under the assumption that we're going to pass this. I'm going to ask those who are doing the research to compare the size of the center that they're proposing to others that have been built around the country. To try to determine from the residents in the area the noise as well as the power consumption. And finally, if it is necessary, because we all know that these centers need a lot of power, if it is necessary for a substation to be developed, require the company to pay for this substation, not to pass this on to the consumers, because it is the company who will be directly benefiting for it. If you build a substation and then you ask the consumers, then we're paying for it, and yet they're reaping the benefits of it. And finally, we all know that AI is real big right now, but what happens if it goes bust? How will that impact our rates? How will that impact the noise as well as the water consumption? Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
I'm Bill Blackman. I'm the business manager for the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 136 here in Birmingham. And apologize, I didn't come prepared to speak today, but the one thing that I'm not hearing, I'm sorry, our address, 845 Gadsden Highway, and our training center, 5000 Eastlake Boulevard. I didn't come prepared to speak today, but the one thing that I want to keep pointing out that I'm not hearing, the opportunities for workforce development that come with these data centers, whatever size they are. For example, with Councilperson Smitherman's mention of DC blocks early on. In the last 3 years, we've done an expansion out there at DC blocks. And again, I didn't prepare the numbers, but somewhere around 15, 20 apprentices had opportunity to spend multiple months out there learning to become skilled craftsmen, skilled tradesmen. From that, they are now a part of the workforce here in the Birmingham area that will make it easier to attract more attractive, less controversial businesses. Without the skilled workforce, you can't attract the businesses to come in here. So I ask that this council, in this great leadership that y'all are showing, keep the workforce development in mind as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
I'd like to speak in favor of the moratorium and possibly go further. As I'm sure some of you may know, the industry that is primarily...
Please state your name and address.
My name is Evan Gabriel Ford. I am within Josh Ross's District 3, 1171, 16th Avenue South. The industry primarily driving the expansion of data centers right now is AI and generally LLM technologies, which, as I'm sure many of you may know, is basically not really anything more than a dead-end technology. So there's not really any future for tech there. The industry itself is notorious now for being at best negligent and at worst exploitative of its, as you've seen, host areas where they have emplaced their buildings, and they have not acted in the best interest at all of anybody but, I would say, shareholders theoretically. It is not in the best interest of Birmingham to casually allow such an industry that has polluted neighborhoods that's brought in, has promised nothing but removal ultimately of more jobs than it would ever provide for constructors who frequently, I am told, may be outsourced to other communities, other countries for the primary beneficiary of the revenue. In total, apologies for the limitations by public speaking. This was one of the few times I speak. In general, it is best not to lay out the red carpet for an industry that seems to totally be absorbed only in its own interest and will, as others have noted, very likely collapse under the limitations of the technologies. As an example, I'm sure some of you may have noticed that the thing sometimes hallucinates in its output. Like, as when asked about, like, for example, a movie for, like, Clint Eastwood, it said a tarantula crushed Clint Eastwood's horse. When asked if a horse crushed a tarantula. There's more than just that small. There are actual studies show that there are limitations of what it can output accurately. I wish I was better equipped to attest to the actual technical abilities of things, but it only assembles plausible sounding words and sentences. It has no sense behind it, and there's a mathematical limit to what it can ever accomplish. So it is a dead-end industry that will ultimately take out more jobs and is pushed by a group that does not actually care about the community in which it resides.
Thank you. Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good morning, counselors.
Morning.
Good morning, everybody. Morning, audience, and all the citizens. My name is Madeline Green. My address is 108 Munich Circle, Birmingham, Alabama. I live in Oxmoor Valley neighborhood. I'm currently the Neighborhood Association president. When I learned about a data center wanting to come to Oxmoor on Friday, I was a little razzled by it because where this data center wants to come is right in the middle, and I'm mostly going to speak on the community, because in terms of all the other things I read about it, like Councilor Smitherman, I just went crazy reading all weekend. So I had about 20 pages of notes about this. And so I'm in favor of the moratorium for the simple reason that would give Director Thomas and the city a chance to really research this, because this is a serious matter. And after all the things I read about it, I was just shocked. I didn't even know that we had maybe 3 data centers. That's because they were small in capacity. But the community concerns are that residents have raised issues about noise, light pollution, water usage, impact on property values, and the project's, the scale of the project. Now, I will say this last thing in closing. I will say that where this data center wants to reside or located, it's less than 500 feet from our neighborhood. Where they want to reside to the left of this data center, we have the fire department, we have United Ability, which is for handicapped persons who are there. Okay, if you go to the front of this center, we have 2 sets of apartments. To the right of it, we have 497 homes that will be coming to Oxmoor, that they're building right now. And so also, and then to the back in walking distance, you have 800 and something households. And that's where the majority of the 11 subdivisions are in Oxmoor. So it's vital that the city gets it right, because we're right there. No matter what leaks out or what pollution and all that, we are going to be right there, because they're in the center of us, and they're surrounded by the 11 subdivisions, 11 apartment complexes. So I just want you all to, take it into consideration. This is serious. So the city really needs to get it right. And even if the moratorium is longer, then that's okay, because these are people. We are people. We are in her district, Councilor Wardine, and she's doing a good job in keeping us abreast of what's going on. And I thank her. I thank you all, because this is what we need. So I didn't know we needed it until I found out they were coming. I was thinking about coming. So we don't need them. We really don't. So thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Green.
Okay.
Appreciate it. All right. Looks like that's all of our public speakers. Did anyone not get a chance to speak that still wants to speak? Okay. That, I guess, concludes our public hearing, so I'll turn it back over to President Alexander.
Thank you very much. I am grateful to the residents and citizens of Birmingham that have come and taken advantage of this public hearing today to give us your thoughts and provide your input. I'm also grateful to the Planning, Engineering, Permits, Ms. Thomas and your team for bringing this information to us and offering this as an ordinance to provide this temporary suspension. As we've all discussed, data centers and AI-driven components are on the horizon. They're going to be a part of the footprint. But I am concerned as a resident and not only as a citizen that we get this right from the beginning. And so this opportunity could provide us with a means of being sure that we, even though it's exciting for new opportunities and new technology, but has already been mentioned before, our neighborhoods, our residents, often we have been compromised at times when new technology comes in, and we want to be sure how they affect our neighborhoods and what it brings to our citizens and for a lifetime forward. You've all given us very good information to consider today, and so at this time, I feel that this has given us an opportunity to open dialogue and to proceed in good faith and in transparency in how we proceed as a as a city. And again, keeping people in mind of what we're going to be doing. I want to know if there are any other questions or any discussion from councilors. Councilor Pro Tem, I'm sorry.
Yep.
Sorry.
So I also do, agree with everything that's been said this morning, and think this is a very important issue for us to consider. And I particularly want to note, statement about taking a scalpel versus an axe approach to this issue, because I don't think that all data centers are created equal. So, but I want to take a step back for a second and remind staff in particular about the legislative branch's process. So section 2-2-15A2 of the Code of the City of Birmingham states that unless waived by a unanimous consent, every ordinance or resolution requiring council approval shall be submitted to a committee of the council prior to submission of the item to the council. The committee shall report thereon at the next regular meeting of the council after the committee meets, unless further time is granted by a majority vote of the council. When the committee to which an ordinance or resolution has been referred shall report such ordinance or resolution as reported by the committee, including any amendments, substitutions proposed by the committee. The short version of that is that when we consider legislation, our process, and this is, again, the council, past council has felt so so strongly about this that they codified it in our city code. We take these through the respective committees. We have currently 5 or 6 subject matter committees that handle various issues. This particular issue, I think, is related to, maybe not entirely, but contains a strong component of planning and zoning element as to relative to where these facilities might be located. Myself and Councilor Vasa actually co-chair the Planning and Zoning Committee. Prior to this public hearing being called, we haven't been engaged in the conversation about a proposal. So again, given our process and what our city code calls for, I'm going to make a motion that this matter be referred to committee. My preference would be for that it be referred to the Planning and Zoning Committee.
All right, councilors, we have a motion before us to move this item back to Planning and Zoning to allow for more information to come before that committee as we take up this particular item after that committee convenes and meets in order to give guidance and more information from the perspective of the legislative body on how we should proceed. So is there a second?
Second.
All right. Second was Councilor Gunn.
So I would like to just make another statement. So this isn't intended as any sort of delay. In theory, this could be back before us next week as a full council. Every committee has the ability to call a special call meeting. All we have to do is provide 24 hours notice prior to meeting. So, but we want to, put some emphasis on the fact that we do have a process for dealing with legislative issues, and that's the reason. So again, not trying to impose any sort of delay tactic here. Just want to make sure that we adhere to our processes.
So councilors, do you understand the motion and the second that's before us? And so we'll refer this back. When would we want to get some type of information back from this committee? Do we want to put a time frame on that? As Councilor O'Quinn stated, the committee can call a special call meeting at any time. So again, this is not delaying this. This is to give an opportunity to provide more input so that the committee process can work and move forward to help with the administrative team in bringing this ordinance forward. Any questions? Because we do have a motion in a second. Any questions?
Madam President, would
Yes.
the end of the month or beginning of February be too short of a notice?
No, we don't think it would be. Okay. So, yes, Councilor Gunn?
Yeah, I have a question. While we have this policy in place and while it's being sent back to committee, what would be the process or any implications behind an organization or a company that were to submit an application for a data center?
So, Councilor Vasa actually inquired with our government affairs team as to current applications that may be in progress. And the information he received, if I'm relaying it correctly, is that there are currently no applications for proposed data centers before the city. Once the suspension is in place, provided that the suspension, that the ordinance provides this, it could include an appeals process. I would encourage us to whatever ordinance goes forward, that it contain an appeal process. And those of you who are familiar with previous moratoria regarding self-storage and automated car washes will know that those ordinances did include an appeal process, and different projects were able to come before us and appeal and move forward subsequently or not. Councilor?
Yes, Councilor Vasa?
Thank you, Madam President. Yes, I would second Councilor Smitherman's sort of timeline and approach on this. The sooner the better. And so whether that looks like 1, 2 weeks or a special committee, I would be in favor of that as well.
All right, thank you. I do appreciate you as co-chairs of the Planning and Zoning Committee, although I know what is before us today is not a temporary suspension on moratorium, it's a temporary suspension on, or just a temporary suspension and not a moratorium. And so I feel this does fall back into going back to committee, because the committee had not had an opportunity to hear this information and to be provided this information. So at this time then, the motion and the second is to take this back to committee. Would 2 weeks be enough time?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. For a 2-week period, and then we'll expect a report back, and then we'll bring the item back for review. Are we ready to take the vote?
I'm sorry?
Are we ready to take the vote?
Oh.
So, Madam President, while the voting is taking place, normally when we delay an item, we bring it back. But, so how do you want to do that? You said refer, so you want the committee bring it back, or what?
The committee, we can take it in committee, but we'll work with the idea that we'll have it back before the council as soon as possible, preferably by the beginning of February.
The committee itself, okay.
Yes, thank you.
Voting should be open. Councilmember O'Quinn?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith? Gotcha, okay. Councilmember Smitherman? Councilmember Vasa? And President Alexander?
Aye.
All right, that vote should be up.
All right, thank you very much. That item passes to, we're putting that back to Planning and Zoning Committee. I do just want to thank each of you who took the time out today. I know it was a very busy council meeting, and but I'm happy to see the many of you that stayed and wanted to participate in this process. It shows us how government, working with residents, working administratively along legislative lines. And so we did hear you, and we want to support the information that you shared today, and we're taking this back today. Thank you very much. All right, Mr. Clerk, we'll go to our next item. I think we only have one other item.
Actually, you got four more. Well, 3 more. 29,
all right, let's go
42,
to the next
44.
item.
Item 29 is next. It's on page 29. In ordinance to require mandatory electronic filing and payment of business tax returns and license renewals, and it is an item of permanent operation, so we need UC to pass it today. So I need a motion for UC.
I move
Motion
for UC.
unanimous consent.
Second.
Okay, Councilmember Gunn. Councilmember O'Quinn.
Aye.
Councilmember Smith. Councilmember Smitherman.
Aye.
Councilmember Vosser.
29.
Councilmember Woods. President Pro Tem Tate. Council President Alexander.
Aye.
All right, motion on the item itself.
Move the item.
Second.
Item is before you.
All right, councilors, this is an ordinance to require mandatory electronic filing and payment of business tax returns and license renewals. Is there any discussion on this item, or do you need some information prior to considering this item?
Madam
Councilor
President, yes, I would just like a brief explanation from staff.
Thank you. At this time, we're asking for a brief explanation from staff regarding this item.
Yeah, Madam President, we'll see if Attorney Lawson is outside to give a brief explanation.
Okay.
Madam President, can you lay it on the table?
Yes, we'll table this one so that we can move to the other items. And Mr. Clerk, if you'll call the next item.
Okay, you need a motion table?
Motion to table.
Second.
All in favor? All opposed? All right, and so we'll go to item 35 is withdrawn, 42. Item 42. And I think that's on the page 34. Item 42, a resolution pursuant to the provisions of section 2-3-27 of the General Code of the City of Birmingham, Alabama, as amended, authorizing the city attorney upon the recommendations to settle the matter of the affidavit claim of R.J. Young Company, LLC. This resolution authorizes the mayor, the city attorney, or one of her assistants to execute all documents necessary to accomplish the settlement of this claim in an amount not to exceed a total of $525,000. Said funds to come from the general fund finance purchasing, print shop, capital outlay, capitalized leases, GL 1-90-90-92.600-015. Motion, please.
Move the item.
All right, councilors, this item was on consent. It was removed by Councilor Vosser, and I believe Councilor Vosser, you wanted to have an opportunity to abstain. All right, any other questions regarding this item? We're ready for the vote.
1 second. All right, voting should be open.
I'm an aye.
Okay,
Aye.
all right. And Councilmember Vosser, you abstaining, right? Got you. Councilmember O'Quinn. All right, that vote should be up in front.
All right, thank you. Item 42 passes. Next item.
We got 44.
Yes, sir.
Item 44, a resolution appointing 2 members to the Birmingham Planning Commission for 6 years, expiring October the 6th, 2031. No, need the names and the terms for who they're replacing.
Yes, Councilor O'Quinn.
So this is related to appointment to the Planning and Zoning Commission. The Planning and Zoning Committee has met to discuss this matter and is recommending the reappointment of 2 current members of the Birmingham Planning Commission. The first individual is Stephen Schrader, originally appointed to the Planning Commission in 2022. And his term expired in October of 2025. So he's being recommended for reappointment. And also Sharon Deep Nelson, who was also appointed in 2022, term expired in October of 2025, and the committee has recommended her reappointment as well for 6-year terms. The expiration date would coincide.
So moved.
All right,
Okay.
thank you, councilors. No questions. We'll move to the vote.
Voting should be open. Councilmember Smitherman, Vasa.
Aye.
All right, all right.
Aye.
Okay. Councilmember Woods, out, absent. And that vote should be up.
All right, thank you, councilors. Those nominations for committees have been approved, and so we thank the committee for going through this process of selecting new committee members, and we look forward to the service of those residents that have been appointed. Thank you very much. Next item.
Only thing left, items-wise, is 29 table.
All right, thank you. She's on the way. Councilors, if we'll allow, we will continue to table this item, and then we'll go ahead and move into our announcements. If you could, can you start, Councilor Smitherman?
Yes, ma'am. I do not mind. South Titusville will meet today at 5:30 p.m. at Holy Family. The Arlington West End will also meet today at 6 p.m. at the West End Library. Southside Library will host MLK I Have a Dream mobile craft. Today, it'll be all day. It started at 9 and ends at 6 p.m. Also, Holy Family had to reschedule their monthly food giveaway. That was supposed to be this past Saturday due to the weather. Now it will be this Saturday starting at 9 a.m. on the campus. Also, congratulations to one of our District 6 schools, Booker T. Washington. Governor Ivey has announced that there will be certain guests recognized at her State of the State address, which will take place later tonight. Rodney Smith Jr., founder of Raising Men Lawn Care Service, and students from Booker T. Washington K-8 will be recognized as Ivey's final State of the State address of her 10-year. As she has announced, she will not be, anyways, they will be recognized at her State of the State. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Councilor Vasa?
Thank you, Madam President. So District 3, we're excited again about our resident participant survey. It has been live for a few weeks and is live until January 25th. This is a great opportunity to make sure that your concerns are heard and that you voice your top 3 priorities. Our goal is 10% of District 3, that's 2,000 respondents. We still have 2 more weeks. Please look on our social media. We had a mailer that went out and really want to hear from as many residents as possible. Secondly, we have a coffee with your counselor this Tuesday, January 20th at General in Forest Park from 7:30 to 8:30. Join us for some free coffee and some treats and to have a conversation. Lastly, we have Highland Park Neighborhood Association tonight at Rojo at 6:30 p.m. And Monday, June 19th is MLK Day. So we have a wonderful opportunity to provide some cleanup at George Ward Park. It's hosted by Alabama Environmental Council from 8:30 to noon, Monday, June 19th at George Ward. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Smith?
All right, thank you. This upcoming week, 2 neighborhoods will be hosting their monthly meetings. This evening, we have Bellevue Heights that is meeting at 6:30 p.m. at Brown Elementary School. Also tomorrow, the Tuxedo Heights neighborhood will meet at 4:30 p.m. at the Pratt City Library. Additionally, the Birmingham Park and Recreation Board will meet on January 21st at 9 a.m. at the Birmingham Botanical Gardens. Also, the Parks and Recreation Board for the City of Birmingham is seeking a new board member. Applicants can send their letter of interest and resumes to d8help@birminghamal.gov. The application is open until January 20th. And lastly, the Arts and Parks Committee will have a special called meeting on Tuesday, January 20th at 10:45. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Councilor Gunn?
Thank you, Madam President. Upcoming Neighborhood Association meetings for today. Tonight, we have the Kilo Springs Neighborhood Association that will meet at 6 p.m. at Smith Middle School. We also have Northeast Lake that will take place at 6 p.m. tonight at the Southern Museum of Flight. And then lastly, for neighborhood associations, we have Penfield Park at 6 p.m. tonight at the Brownsville Heights Community Center. As for events, we have the Collegeville neighborhood. They will be hosting an MLK Day of Service cleanup from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. at 3200 28th Avenue North. And lastly, I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize my Chief of Staff, Carmen Mays, on her Founder's Day that's upcoming.
That's right.
So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Councilor Woods?
Thank you. A few announcements quickly. Repeat, the Killer Springs Neighborhood Association will be meeting tonight. Definitely get out and engage in your neighborhood. Also, coming up, the MLK Day of Service next Monday, January 19th at 9 a.m. We'll be at Huffman Ballpark. We've got a lot of volunteers coordinating with our Magic City Tool Bank. But just come out. Like I said, we're going to be preparing the facility for the upcoming season. Just a good opportunity to get out individually, bring a group, but just to make sure all the young people have everything they need to get the season started this year. So look forward to seeing everybody come out, roll up your sleeves, and get in the mix.
Thank you so much. Dr. O'Quinn?
All right. In District 5, we have the East Avondale Neighborhood Association that's meeting tonight at 6 p.m. via conference call. Please call our office at 254-2679 for that call-in information. North Avondale Neighborhood Association will meet on Thursday, January 15th at 6 p.m. at the MLK Rec Center in North Avondale. South Side Neighborhood meeting has been canceled. They would normally meet on Thursday, and it's being rescheduled for Thursday, January 22nd at 6 p.m. at the South Precinct. The Transportation Infrastructure Committee is scheduled to meet on Monday, January 26th at 2 p.m. here in the council chambers. Please submit your agenda items to kimberly.phillips@birminghamal.gov. Urban Impact is going to be out doing a service project on MLK Day, and so they get up early and get it done. So they're meeting at 7:30 a.m. At the historic 4th Avenue Business District, specifically 1721 4th Avenue North. And please call 205-328-1850 to get more information or RSVP with your organization. BCRI is also hosting a MLK Day of celebration on Monday from 10 to 4 with multiple events. The admission to the Institute, as always, will be free, and early arrival is suggested, and you can get more information at their website. Also, BCRI is accepting applications for its 2026 Legacy Youth Leadership Program. This is a 12-month experience that equips high school students with tools for civic engagement, personal development, and social change grounded in Birmingham's civil rights legacy. The program runs March 2026 to March 2027 with a $1,000 stipend for summer docents upon program completion. The application deadline is Monday, February 9th, and you can apply at bcri.org/legacy. And then finally, want to announce a public meeting. The Ballard House project is embarking on a adaptive reuse plan for the building formerly known as the automotive friction. They used to turn brake rotors in there. And so the Ballard House is proposing to redevelop that property, and they're seeking community input. So this property is in the historic civil rights district. specifically located at 1512 7th Avenue North. And the date of the meeting is Monday, January 26th, 5:30 to 7 at the Ballard House. And that is located just down the block on 7th Avenue at 1420 7th Avenue North. And if you have, or you need additional information or to submit your comments apart from going to the meeting, you can contact the executive director of the Ballard House, Magilla Hamilton, and her email address is mchubehamilton@ballardhouseproject.org. And if you need that spelled out for you, just call my office, or you can call the Ballard House. So thank you. That concludes my announcement.
Thank you, Dr. O'Quinn. Pro Tem Tate.
Thank you, Madam President. These are the announcements for neighborhood meetings. North Pratt neighborhood meeting is tonight at 5 p.m. at the Pratt Public Library located at 509 Dugan Avenue. Sandusky neighborhood meeting will be held tonight at 6 p.m. at the Jimmy Hudson Rec Center, and it's at 309 Pratt Highway. Inslee neighborhood meeting will be Thursday, January the 15th at 6 p.m. at McAlpine Rec Center located at 1115 Avenue F. The next public safety meeting will be held today, 1 p.m. in the council chambers. I'm not doing anything on MLK Day, so I have not gotten any reports of anybody doing any cleanups, but I just may come out and come on out there to Huffman Park with Council Woods, so just, we'll see though. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you so much. These are announcements for District 7. Today, we do have a neighborhood meeting that will be meeting by conference call. That's the Raleigh-Trevalick neighborhood meeting. They will meet at 6 p.m. You can call my office, and we'll post this information if you would like to dial in. But that neighborhood association meets this afternoon at 6 p.m. Then on Thursday, January 15th, the combined Hillman and Hillman Park neighborhood associations will meet at 5 p.m. at Hillman Station. I do want to acknowledge the attendance of our Ox Valley neighborhood president again, Mrs. Green. Thank you, and at the field, there are various other members of that neighborhood that are here today. So thank you, Mr. Carter and Walter, for also being in attendance. Love the representation. Today, we entertained just the process of how residents speak, and they look to us as a legislative body to help improve and ensure the quality of their life. And so I learned over just a few days ago, and I don't know if it's been acknowledged yet or not, but I do want to acknowledge the passing of the late Mr. Charlie Powell, who was the founder of PANIC, and that's the People Against Neighborhood Industrial and Contamination, and he often came before us and brought information to us. So I just want to acknowledge and offer respect for the work that he was trying to do in the community. And this time, I do know that I see that we do have representation, so that we can go ahead and go back to our agenda. So if we could go back and vote to go back to agenda, and now we'll have that last item. Do we have a second and a motion so we can call back to order?
Motion to take the item back up, item 29.
Let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Item's back.
Thank you so much, and we'll now hear from that item. Thank you so much. And we were just asking, Councilor Quinn, someone was asking for more information.
Yeah, so just give us some background on why we're proposing to require mandatory electronic filing for payment of business tax returns and license renewals.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. Yolanda Lawson from the Office of City Attorney. This item is going to streamline the process of filing tax remittances with the City of Birmingham. It will mirror the process that the state of Alabama now currently processes under. The purpose of the ordinance is to streamline, expedite, lower any risk of mistakes. It helps with our staffing. It allows our taxpayers a better access point for more hours of the day, because it will be available 24 hours a day. So the electronic filing will be a format where taxes can be paid, all forms of taxes can be remitted without having to come to the city of Birmingham. Now, we will still have the access to the city of Birmingham to allow you to pay in person for a period of time, but we're trying to make efforts to also have a kiosk set up. I don't have a time frame for that kiosk setup, but the effort is to have a kiosk set up as well so the taxpayers are able to come into City Hall and still do so electronically if they wish. It lowers wait times, it lowers staff burdens, and it's just more streamlined and economically feasible for all involved.
So how much of the activity at the teller windows down in the lobby, how much of this type of activity, represents what they do on a daily basis?
Well, it just depends on the period of the month. So we have some taxes that are due on the 15th day of the month. Then we have some which are normally our liquor licenses, and sometimes with our business licenses, because we have that waiver of penalties until February 15th. So we may have a flush of people for the month of January, and especially around that second week of February, trying to get in before that window closes. And then monthly, we have from about the 14th of the month to about the 21st of the month, just depending on a weekend day. So you may have a flush of people periodically, monthly, for those time periods.
It's hard to imagine a business operating without the capacity to be able to do this. I mean, if you're in business in 2026, more than likely running your business involves utilizing computers and being connected to the internet. But is there any provision for some type of hardship or?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, sir, there is. If there's a hardship where a person is not able to utilize electronic services or remit electronically, they will provide us, or, apply for a waiver. And that waiver then will be approved by the appropriate persons appointed by the CFO or by the Director of Finance. They will be the persons that either approve or designate who will approve those waivers. And there will be parameters that we will establish that will allow them to be granted a waiver if necessary.
So those waivers would be reviewed administratively?
Yes, sir. They will be reviewed administratively, and we will need to take those at a case-by-case basis unless the CFO determines that there's going to be set parameters that the staff may be able to automatically approve. And I will mention that this process will utilize our current system of HDL. This is not an effort to convert to something else or yet another system. This is just to enhance the system that we currently use.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? Yes, Councilor Gunn.
Yeah, I just want to, thank you, Madam President. I just want to confirm that the kiosk will be a permanent fixture.
It will be. Now, again, I do not have a time frame on the kiosk piece, so that's still in the works, but I just wanted this council to be aware that that's something that we will plan for, because we don't want to limit accessibility to the city of Birmingham or to City Hall. We're just trying to make it as easy as possible.
Okay. And then I guess my second question to the kiosk, will the kiosk only accept credit card payments or debit card payments, or will it accept cash as well?
We don't know yet.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Good questions. Any other questions? Yes, Councilor Woods.
I just wanted to add, like I said, we had this conversation yesterday.
Yes, sir.
And we did have an extensive conversation around just informing the businesses. And so they do have a robust plan for that. So was excited to see that. And there is, like I said, it's not immediate. So there is some time to get the word out.
Yes.
And I was assured that, they would ensure and work with everyone to get everybody to the finish line.
Thank you.
Yes.
Any other questions? All right, thank you. We're ready for the vote. Happy Founder's Day.
Oh, thank you. Same to you.
We're ready for the vote.
Smith, yeah, got it. Council President Alexander. Council President Alexander.
Aye.
Councilmember Voss. Aye. The vote should be up.
All right, thank you. That item passes. I believe that does end our agenda at this time.
Yes, ma'am.
At this time, we will entertain speakers list.
Okay, Yancey Williams Senior.
Good morning, good afternoon.
Afternoon.
My name is Yancey Williams, and I live at 820 2nd Street Southwest, Birmingham, Alabama, 35211. I have Minister Frazier with me, and I have Mr. Ford with me. The Massey family had to leave. We live in the Arlington community, Birmingham First community, the most historic neighborhood in the city of Birmingham, if you did not know that. We have some images here that we would like to pass out. May I pass this to someone? And thank you, Councilor Smitherman, for all your help. We're just trying to expedite getting these apartments demolished. They can just pass it around. It's for all of them. They can keep it duplicated, sir. And this is for the mayor's office. I see he has left. We wanted to bring light to this issue. These apartments, when we are walking our children and our dogs and animals in the neighborhood, we're finding needles. The Johns and the prostitute are partaking right outside our homes. Just the other day, the lady got a package, and I know this video is being recorded. A lady received a package, and she was hallucinating, and we had to call the Birmingham Police Department. I mean, this is going on every day, every night, every week, and we're just trying to bring light to this issue. We need some help. This has been going on. I've been the Fords, you guys have been there how long? 40 years. And Mr. Frazier, you've been, Mr. George, your church has been there? 33 years, and I'm only 26 years in. We need some help with this demolished. I mean, we should not have to move around or go around the prostitution rings, and male and female. Male and female. And they're partaking with one another in our community. I mean, I've witnessed parents walking their children, and the child went to reach to pick up a needle. And the mother had to shield the baby, say, look at this right here, look at that, to get the attention off there, because the baby was asking, what is that? We need some help. So I'm asking the mayor's office, not I, but we are asking the mayor's office and the city council for your help. This has been going on a long time. And just now, we don't want to try to compare our community to anyone else, but we just would love to have this removed and try to move forward with some other things. And then I want to say one other thing too. We have had 10 people from around the country and the world to move into our community. So we are a viable community. Let's try to keep it that way. Thank you for your attention. Thank you again.
Thank you so much. This time it has come to my attention, I believe this is pending litigation, and so there is an awareness and there's a process going on with this. So we can't speak directly to this because of the litigation, but thank you for bringing this to our attention today. And you'll have more information as we go through that legal process.
Thank you so very kindly.
Hold on one second. I believe you're the next speaker, but let's be sure we announce the next speaker.
Pastor Jordan.
Michael Jordan.
Yes, sir. Go
Thank
ahead.
you so very kindly. I'd like to say good day to this council president, Ms. Smitherman, to Ms. Alexander, and to Ms. King. I'm Pastor Michael Jordan. I'm the senior pastor of the New Era Baptist Church over on Cotton Avenue. These images that you're looking at, my church owns 4 parcels of land in that area over there that you're witnessing. And I do want to thank the mayor. I think they lied on the mayor, and we got it straight that the mayor wasn't doing nothing for the city. We want to straighten that lie out now, that the mayor and the legal department has been turning the wheels to try to terminate some of this stuff and get this stuff straightened out, because the legal department, Mr. Meade, has got in touch with the neighborhood association and myself, of course, and there was a hearing set November the 6th, and of course Judge Patton Creighton gave them a stay. So I don't know the legal entanglements here,
But I do want to attest to the effect that this property has on this house, my house of prayer. The parking lot is right next to all of this. People, when we try to get loans, not a loan, but a grant or something, funding for our Family Life Center or for an adult education program, people come and look at this right next door. It's an impediment to evangelism. It's, when I was, you all don't know it, but there's a lot of fires. It's vagrants, they transients, they squatter, it's rat infested. And of course, what actually happens is when people come and want to worship, they look at all this stuff right next door to the doorsteps of the church. This one here, this is sad. This one here is a black male coming out right here. And he's not a resident, he's not a squatter, he's a customer. He's a customer. This property has become a homosexual brothel. And I don't play on nobody's intelligence. I know you all are you're not undereducated. But a brothel is a French whorehouse. And it's a homosexual brothel right there at the doorsteps of God's house. And we want to thank the city council for looking at this, but we do want to be fair with both sides, that the mayor wants this to be declared a public nuisance. The legal department has been pushing for nothing but a public nuisance. There's a hearing February the 5th coming up because that's how long the stay was given. My concern traveling from Houston to Los Angeles, to Linwood, to Buffalo, New York, all around the city. My concern, Clint Woods, is this despicable crime infestation, this sore thumb, this public nuisance would never exist next door to the First Baptist Church in Mount Brook, an affluent white church. It would never exist down there on 280 next door to the Hunter Street Church, an affluent white church. Let's go on fast forward right over here next door to UAB. This infestation and this sore eye would never exist next door to UAB.
Thank you, Pastor. We do appreciate you bringing.
Yeah, but I just want to let you know.
Yes, sir, if it can get you to.
Yeah, I know you cut me off when I brought the racial issue here. I know you want to cut me off.
I'm cutting you off because you're beyond our 3 minutes.
And I appreciate
all I'm asking you to.
And I appreciate you listening
Yes,
to
sir.
me, but I don't want you as a black African-American female to cut me off when I'm making
cutting you off, sir,
the
because you're over
gentrification,
time.
racist issues here.
Thank you.
This would never exist in an affluent white neighborhood.
I know you understand. You are preaching to the choir on this one, and I believe you have 9.
Well, we want to just make sure.
And I appreciate you for bringing that to us.
Thank you.
Councilor Pro Tem, you had a statement.
Thank you, Madam President.
So I want the legal department to work on this expeditiously.
Thank you, Pastor.
Okay.
Madam Pro
Thank you,
Tem.
Madam Pro Tem. To the pastor, this is a, ongoing issue that my colleagues and I discuss. And what I really want to encourage you all to do is to go to the state of Alabama. They're in legislative session this week. And I want to also commend my colleague, Councilor Woods. One of our legislative priorities, this legislative session is putting the heat on people who do things like this in our community. This is not just in West End. I have some issues in North Birmingham. All of us have issues throughout, issues on the south side. And then we don't want to make this race bait. We just,
y'all scared of white folks.
excuse me, no, sir, we're not.
Y'all scared of,
No.
this is what you call racial Jim Crow
We're
etiquette.
going to, Pastor,
Black
please.
folks, don't be afraid
With all due
when we speak
respect,
about racism.
Pastor Jordan, I am going to push
Go
back on
next
you.
door to Dawson Memorial Baptist Church and see, do you see this?
Thank you.
I'm gonna push back on you, but Pastor
Don't
Jordan.
be afraid
I'm not
when we
afraid of
talk about
anybody.
racism.
No, I'm not afraid
because
to talk
that's what
about
it is.
racism, but I do want to encourage you to take a trip to Montgomery this week.
Well, it's in the city.
No, sir. It's laws that we need to change.
I want the
Laws
city
that-
council
but I'ma
to go
yield the
there.
floor back.
Yeah, let the city
Sir,
council go.
we have legislative priorities that we're presenting at the opening of the legislative session this week that attunes to some of the things that you are talking about today. So if we could work together, there's a process.
Okay.
And we've taken these priorities to the legislature. We have 4 items that speak to this type of blight that we're seeing in the city of Birmingham. So please know that we hear you, we understand your passion with this, but again, don't make assumptions about what we are trying to bring forward. And at this time, sir, if I could call on the next speaker. Are you signed up as the next speaker? Let me call the name of the next speaker. Thank you. Mr. Clerk,
Is it John Jackson?
are you John Jackson?
Henry Ford.
Sir, you're not signed up to speak. If we could go ahead and
Last
get the
speaker
next
is
speaker.
Evan Ford.
Thank you. We have our next speaker.
The last speaker is Evan Ford.
Evan Ford, thank you. Is Evan Ford present? No, sir, you have to be signed up to speak. Thank you, Pastor. Okay, remember,
I'm sorry, Mr. Jackson is before you. You're up. You're next. You're next, after him.
Jackson, you have 3 minutes, and if you give us your address, thank you, sir.
Yes, my name is John Jackson. I reside at 235 85th Street North, Birmingham, Alabama, 35206. I'm a member of Phi Beta Sigma fraternity. Could you let me have my time? Okay. I'm a member of Phi Beta Sigma. I noticed all the sororities, the Greeks that came up today. I wanted to represent Blue Phi. Also, I'm an insurance agent. I've worked for Liberty National. I reside right here in Birmingham for 30 years. I've raised my children right here. And why I'm here today is because I've been here before you guys on several occasions. I know you can remember me coming on 1023. The reason why I came on 1023 is because we came trying to get help with the speed cushions on 85th Street North. And I know you have a budget for those type of things, but we have the speed cushions ourselves. So we know that that should cut the price. In addition to that, we think it's low-hanging fruit. We don't think that we should be excluded from having the things that we see going around the city. I see biking lanes, I see all kind of cushions set up on 5 Mile Road, 4th Avenue South and 85th Street South, 2-way turn to a 4-way. Crest Hill Road, 2-way turn to a 4-way. 2nd Avenue South and 79th Way turn to a 4-way. 609 West Boulevard added speed cushion, and this is 1 block over from my house. Now, we've had several deaths out on my street on 85th Street. A man got ran over in a wheelchair. We also had Reverend Jamal Cunningham of the 46th Street Baptist Church to come by with his member and a signed petition with hundreds of signatures on it. They're on that same street. We also was able to get the traffic calming petitions. And now they told us to vote on it. We voted on it. It was a 98% in favor of, and still nothing. Mr. Mayor have done a great job, and you guys as council members have aided, I'm sure. But this is a simple solution. It's not like the big problem that I've listened to you have to address earlier. This is low-hanging fruit. I'm pretty sure we can have some speed cushions added on 85th Street North, and also I'm sure we can turn that 2-way into a 4-way. Thank you very much.
Mr. Jackson. Next speaker. All right, thank you. That concludes our speakers for this afternoon. We do want to thank our officers on duty, Officer Pinkard and Officer Drake. Where's that's not Officer Drake? That's Square, all right. So thank you so much. And we've been asked to also acknowledge our fire inspectors on duty. So we want to thank Inspector Snow and Inspector Marshall for their service to us as well. I want to thank you all, everyone. It has been a full day. And so at this time, I'll call for
Second.
all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Meeting